My dear children of class 7, a very good morning to all of you, and I am glad to welcome you all to one more botany class. So let's start today's class. Today's class is about the topic called as Kingdom Classification 1. What is the topic? Kingdom Classification 1. So in zoology, already you have studied about Kingdom Classification 2, right? What was that about? It was all about the classification of animals, right? So in this class, we will be studying about the classification of plants. How are plants classified? We will study in this botany class. So before studying about the types of classification, you should know the definition for classification. For every topic there will be a definition, right? So what is classification actually? It is a process of grouping. It is a process where all the plants are classified and put into separate groups. Okay, it is a process where organisms, in this case the plants, are put into groups based on what? Based on some similarities or some differences. Okay, say for example, all the plants in this world do not produce flowers, right? Only one group of plants called as angiosperms will produce flowers. So you are putting all these flowering plants into one group called as angiosperms. Here the angiosperm group is formed based on the property of flowering. So similarly, this is just an example. Similarly, based on certain properties, the organisms or the plants are put into separate groups. So the definition for classification is putting organisms into groups. Then the need for classification. Why do you need classification? I told you already, it is based on certain characteristics. The example what I gave you is about the flowering properties. Now, what is the need for classification? If there are people who want to classify the plants, there should be a reason, right? So mainly this classification system was done by scientists. Okay, scientists were the people who first wanted to classify the plants. Why do they wanted to classify the plants? Because they wanted to know the similarities or the differences among the plants. So many plants will have same characters, some will have different characters, right? So those properties the scientists wanted to know. That's why they initially started classifying the plants, and also they wanted to find the diverse group of organisms. What is diversity? Diversity means differences, no? There are different type of plants based on the type of leaves or based on the type of roots. You have studied about venation in your grade 6, right? And also you must have studied about the types of root systems. So these are, say for example, dicots all have taproot system, right? So similarly, there are diversities, there are differences. Though all the plants have roots, stem, leaves and everything, there are differences, there are diversities among the groups of plants. That's why the scientists wanted to know about them, and that's why they started classification in the initial stages, and they are arranged in a significant or meaningful order. So you have taxonomy books all in big libraries. If you go, you can see taxonomy books. There you can find systematic order. In a proper way, the plants are all grouped, okay, based on certain unique properties. Many plants are put into separate groups, and they are placed in a systematic or a proper order. Okay, for that also scientists wanted to classify the plants. So why scientists wanted to classify the plants? Mainly scientists were the people who were initially interested to classify plants, and they classified plants based on their similarities or the differences present in the plants, and then they wanted to know the diverse group of organisms. There are many varieties in this world. The scientists wanted to know about them, and also after classification only the scientists were able to put or arrange all the plants in a proper way or in a systematic order. So these are all about the need for classification. Then we learn about 5 advantages of classification. What do you get by classification? If you are classifying, what are all the benefits a common man or a scientist can know about plants? So the first benefit is you can identify organisms and categorize into groups. Categorize into groups again and again, it's the definition for classification, right? What is it? You can put organisms into groups based on the special characters. Say for example, flowering plants are all put into one groups, I told you, right? So you can identify the organisms. Say only when you study about the characteristic of some plant, you can identify. How will you call a rose plant as a rose plant? How do you know? You know they produce flowers of specific shape, no? By seeing the property or by learning. Since you are seeing it in your day-to-day life, you can identify a rose. Suppose if you don't know some plant name, okay, but you know only the properties, what you don't see in your daily life, no? If you hear the name of such plant, how will you identify that plant? You can study the characters of that plant and try to search for that plant, right? So if I tell you a peculiar name and of a plant and tell you go and search that plant, how will you go and search? Only if you know the characters of the plant you can go and search, right? So by studying the properties of a plant, you can identify the plants, organisms. In this case, since it is botany and it is about classification of plants, wherever the word organisms is given in book, it means plants, okay. So it is used to identify the plants. You can study easier when same characters are in one group. What is that? Say for example, if I call climbers, okay, if I call a group called as climbers, you know they all have tendrils to climb about in a support. The next property is the chart. The evolutionary history chart can be achieved by classification. See, generally it is believed that when the earth was initially formed, there were only simple or very small plants. Then it underwent evolution. Evolution means development. Say for example, man evolved from monkey. We say monkey have less brains, right? We have well developed brains, and also we are evolved with special characters than the previous group called as the chimpanzees or monkeys, right? Similarly, in plants also, first form plants were very underdeveloped. They had only little features, and as they developed, as they underwent a process called as evolution, okay. From simple, the structure became so complex, or they started bearing flowers, fruits, seeds and everything, okay. So for study of evolution also, you need to know about the classification. The next property is about the information of plants you can get. Some properties of plants will help you know the geographical location. Say for example, the plants present in India will have special properties, whereas the same plant present in other country, maybe in the US, may be of a slightly different color. So, based on studying the properties of plants, you can identify the geographical location of the plants. You can tell where the plant is from based on their properties. And also, the base for classification leads to or gives you knowledge about environmental biology. So, plants properties are also related to the environment of the organism. What is environment? Environment means the place where the plant is located. So certain plants, if they are present, they can produce nitrogen, which will supply nitrogen to the soil. So environmental biology is also related or also dependent upon the properties of the plants. So by studying the classification of plants, what all benefits you get, you can identify any plant easily. You can study about the properties very easily if you put them into groups, because one property will be present in all the plants of that group. The same property will be present. And also the study about classification help you sort out the chart of evolution very easily. And also you can learn the properties of plants and know about the geographical location from where it was obtained, you can say, by just seeing the properties of the plants. And also it is related to the environment, so it is a base of environmental biology. Then the next topic is classification system. What is this classification system? See, generally you do not classify into one level. So initially it is classified like, say for example, the first classification called as kingdom is here. In this case, in botany, you call this kingdom as plant kingdom. This is called as plant kingdom. Why plant kingdom? Because there are two types of kingdom in this universe based on the organisms. One is plant kingdom, the other one is animal kingdom. So generally if I call the kingdom plants, it will include all the plants present in this universe, right? So whatever plant you and me know or the scientists know, they all come under the kingdom plants. But when it comes to species level, species means we specifically call the names of the plants, no, like rose plant or hibiscus plant or potato plant. So this is under species level. So this will have only one species, whereas the kingdom called as plant will include whatever plant is present in this universe. So what can you understand? This is a very broad range of classification. Everything of course includes plants because it is under the kingdom Plantae or the kingdom plant. But however, all the plants will come under the group called as kingdom. But when you come to the lower level, there is only one species at the end. Specifically, if I call one species, it will denote only that particular species. You cannot include others in this group. Okay, so just you remember these terms because highest ranking is for kingdom and the least ranking is for species. This will include all the plants in the universe and this will include only one plant. Okay, when you go to your higher levels, you will learn in detail about what are all these, but for your levels you just need to know the order of the ranking. What is the order? First is kingdom, second is phylum, third is class, fourth is order, fifth is family, sixth is genus, and the last one is species. So what are the ranks? Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. So how to remember these terms easily? Again, I have given a trick for you, which is a mnemonic. King Philip came over for good soup. What is this? What is this? K for king. Okay. P for Philip. C for came. O for over. Family for. Genus good. Species soup. So you can memorize this sentence so that it is easy for you to remember the order of this ranking. Okay, so you should know the order of the ranking. You cannot write this in the first and this at the last. It should be exactly in this order. Okay. So next we learn about the highest rank. So I told you already, see why you have this shape, it can be a square, right? Like this I can draw. It can be this way, right, like a box. So why it is in the shape of inverted triangle? Why is it like this? Which means here in the highest kingdom you will have the highest number of organisms. In kingdom you will have the highest number of organisms. I told you already, all the plants in this universe will come under the group called as kingdom Plantae, and only one species will come here, which means you count the number of plants all over the world, it is usually greater than 2 million. Okay, so how many plants you have in this universe? The groups you have, more than 2 million groups you have. Whereas species, say for example, if you count only the type of hibiscus plant, I mean the what you call shoe flower, right? The common name is shoe flower for that. So if you count only those plants, will it reach 2 million? Definitely it will be a very small number. So as the ranking goes lower and lower, the number of organisms will also decrease. That's why it is in the shape of like this. So initially you will have greatest number, here you will have the least number. Okay. So the highest rank, which is the first one, kingdom, no, this holds the highest rank. So what is the next property? Okay, successively you will have fewer numbers which with greater similarities. I told you, no. So as the ranking goes lower and lower, successive, which means the next ranking, which will have very few numbers of organisms when compared to the previous one. Okay, and they will have greater similarities. All species will have the same property, right? All rose plants will appear like the same type of leaf, and there will be greater similarities. But here also rose plant and a mango tree also come under the kingdom Plantae, but they have differences in everything, right? So they will have more differences as you go for higher ranking and less differences when you go for lower ranking. This is what they have meant. And species reproduce among themselves. Only same species can reproduce among themselves. Okay, cats can reproduce only with the cats, and one plant can produce. See, you will be learning in the next year about pollination all in plants. Okay, that is the mode of reproduction in plants. So only the same rose plants can produce only rose plants. Now they cannot produce some other lily flowers, all rose plant will not produce. So they will reproduce among the same species, only the same type of offspring they will produce after reproduction. So I told you already there are 2 million, greater than 2 million plant types in this universe. And then there is a term called as taxonomy. Have you heard this word taxonomy? What is taxonomy? We are studying about classification, right? So the study about classification is called as taxonomy. You have a branch of science, which deals with the classification. What is taxonomy? When you study about classification, what is that called? That is called as taxonomy. It is a science which deals with classification. It is taxonomy. Okay. So next we will study about the person or the scientist who first classified the plants. This man, Linnaeus, was the first scientist who classified the organisms in this world. How did he classify? He classified as plants and animals. All the organisms in this world were classified into two, called as plants and animals, by this scientist called as Linnaeus, and his system of classification is called Linnaeus two-kingdom system of classification. What is the system called? Two-kingdom classification system. Okay. Based on what he classified? Based on 4 properties. He classified the organisms in this world as plants and animals. What does this mean? Based on what property he put all plants in one group and all animals in one group? Based on the mode of nutrition. What does it mean? How they eat. So plants will produce their own food, animals will depend on other organisms, right? So based on that, and also based on cell wall. Plants have a thick cell wall, animals do not have cell wall at all. And the third property, based on locomotion. Animals move, plants will stay at the same place. And also response to stimuli. When you beat an animal, what it will do? It will respond, right? When you do something to a plant, it will not respond immediately like an animal. So based on all these, Linnaeus classified the organisms in this world into plants and animals. But there were many drawbacks. There were defects in his classification system. What defects? See, he failed to classify unicellular and multicellular organisms. So unicellular organisms means one-celled organisms, and multicellular means many celled. So what he has to do, he was supposed to put them in different groups, right? But what this man did, he put all of them in one group, and also he failed to classify photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. So classification, I told you, if they have the same property, it should be in one group, right? But those plants which had the property of undergoing photosynthesis and those organisms which did not undergo photosynthesis, all were put into one group based on Linnaeus classification. That was also a failure in his classification system, and there were certain organisms left outside which did not match either into plants or did not match either into animals. Say for example viruses, okay, he did not put them into either plants or animals, so they did not fit into both of his groups. These were all the drawbacks of Linnaeus classification system. Then there is this is very important topic, okay. So listen carefully. I think in this grade only you are getting introduced to this term. It is called as binomial nomenclature. What is this binomial nomenclature? See, say the first example given is human beings, right? So in English I address human beings as human beings. In Tamil, what do you call? Suppose if you are somebody who you know knows only the language Tamil, okay, so what he will tell, he will call a man as maybe for example he may call him as Manidhan, okay. In Hindi, if you go to North India, how will a man represent a human being? He will call a man as Admi, right? If you know Hindi, you will know. So even in India, in three different regions, three different terms are used like Manidhan or human being or Admi, right? So imagine if a scientist in India is going to speak with a scientist in China or Japan, where they use their native language mostly, right? So how will they communicate? If he tells Manidhan, will the Chinese understand about what we are talking about? No, right? Though English is a common language, many countries do not use English as their official language, or they do not use English to communicate, right? So for common understanding about all the organisms in this world, there is one naming system called as binomial nomenclature. Bi means two, nomial means name. Okay, what is bi? Bi means two, nomial means nomial or nomenclature also refers to naming. Okay, so it is a naming system. So there will be one universal name. What is universal? Universal means worldwide the same name is going to be used. There will be one name for one organism, let it be a plant or let it be an animal, there will be one name given. So for human beings worldwide, what they mention or the scientific name used is Homo sapiens. So how was a human being addressed? Not like a Admi or human being, it is he is addressed as Homo sapiens. So whenever scientists want to discuss about human being, they will use the word called as Homo sapiens and not as human being. So similarly, you will have names for 4 examples are given in your textbook. For lion it is Panthera leo, and for mango it is Mangifera indica. These names all you are expected to memorize. So study and write and see the names until it registers in your mind. So potato is called as Solanum tuberosum. Okay, so repeat the terms again and again until you learn these words. So there is a rule for writing these names. You cannot write as you wish. And Chinese hibiscus is called as Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Hibiscus rosa sinensis is the name for shoe flower. Okay, so what is the rule for it? In every, see, after seeing all these names, no, what can you find common in them? What can you find common in all these names? Can you find the first letter written in capital letter, and here the first letter is written in small letter in all the cases, see? So the first name is called the genus name. So whatever you write first is called as genus, and whatever you write second it is called species. So the genus name's first letter will be a capital letter and the species name first letter will be a small letter. What are the property? You can see them in italics, right? So every time a binomial name or a scientific name should be written in italics. What if you write with your hand? In handwritten means it should be underlined. In case if you are going to write with your hand, in your notebook, if you are writing Homo sapiens, so if you write like this, you can't write like italics, no, in your notebook. It is difficult to write. So in case if you are writing in your notebook as Homo sapiens, what you have to do after writing, you have to underline it. So these are the rules for writing a binomial name. So what's the next topic? After this Linnaeus classification system, no, one more eminent scientist called as Whittaker. What is his name? Whittaker put forward another classification system, and that was called as Five Kingdom classification system. So what was Whittaker's classification system called as? Five Kingdom classification system. So how did he classify? He classified, his initial is RH Whittaker. In the year 1969 only he classified. He classified organisms. See, the name itself suggests that it is five. Linnaeus 2 kingdom, there were two groups called plants and animals. Here 5 kingdom means all organisms in this world were classified into 5. Who classified? Whittaker classified. So what are those 5 groups? They are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So what are the 5 groups of organisms as classified by Whittaker? Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Here also you have plants and animals, but apart from plants and animals, see, you have many groups. Fungi all you can see in bread, no, rotten food all you can see fungi. Okay, they do not grow on soil, nor they walk like animals. So it is a different group, right? That's why it is put under different groups. So Protista, Monera all you will be studying later in the later part in the same lesson. Okay, in the next class maybe we will study about these groups all in detail. So based on what did he classify? Linnaeus classified based on locomotion, cell wall and nutrition all, no. Similarly, this man also had some rules or objectives or based on these properties only he classified. Based on which properties? Based on their cell structure, based on their body organization and based on their mode of nutrition, what they eat. So based on what properties? Whittaker classified into 5 groups based on 3 properties called as cell structure or body organization and mode of nutrition. Based on these 3 properties he classified the plants in he classified all the organisms into 3. Okay, so what are these 3? We learn in detail in the next slide. So about cell structure, body organization and mode of nutrition we are going to learn the next slide. So okay, based on the cell structure there are 2 groups of organisms, okay, called as prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So I told you based on these 3 properties only Whittaker classified the animals. Okay, so how certain cells are grouped under prokaryotes and certain cells are grouped under eukaryotes. No U here. It is eukaryotes. And based on the body organization, organisms were classified either into unicellular organisms, which means organisms made up of only one cell, and multicellular organisms, which means body is made up of many cells. And based on nutrition, organisms were classified again into 2 called as autotrophic nutrition or heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophs means organisms produce their own food and heterotrophs means organisms depend on other organisms. So I told you already, based on the cell structure, organisms, see when you see the structure of a cell, either the cell can be a prokaryote or a eukaryote. How will you differentiate? See, this is a prokaryotic cell and this is a eukaryotic cell. What differences can you see? You can see the picture and list their properties, as I tell always. Before that you should know the meaning for prokaryote. Pro means primitive. Primitive means initially formed or improperly formed. So what is pro? Pro is primitive. Pro is primitive. And karyon means nucleus. See, this is the nucleus of this prokaryote. So, this one. Okay, this is the nucleus of the prokaryote. What can you say in this nucleus? You can find only DNA in the prokaryotes. There is only a simple DNA and you don't have cell membranes or nucleolus. Just a DNA will be present in prokaryotes. Examples, bacteria. See, this is actually a bacteria. Okay, and also BGA, which is called blue green algae, is also an example for prokaryotes. So, what properties I told about prokaryotes? Prokaryotes means primitively formed nucleus, which means the nucleus will have only the DNA, nothing else will be present. So, those groups of organisms are all put under prokaryotic group. They will have only DNA and no nucleus, nucleolus or no membranes. Examples for prokaryotes are bacteria and BGA. Then what is eukaryotes? U means true. What is U? U means true. Then what is eukaryotes? U means true. What is U? True. Okay, and karyon, you know, again it is nucleus. So eukaryotes is, they have a true nucleus. What is true nucleus or false nucleus? It is nothing but, in the case of prokaryotes, I told you, you have only DNA as a nucleic material or genetic material. But in this case, you will have a nucleus. See, this is the nucleus structure. Okay, you have a structure called as a nucleolus. Have a structure called as nucleolus in the case of eukaryotes. Where is the nucleolus? Can you see a violet color structure? So, this is the nucleolus, and also the nucleus is surrounded by a membrane. Can you see a membrane here? Outer covering. See, here you have nothing, just a irregular shaped material, which is the DNA is present. But whereas in the case of eukaryotes, it is called a true nucleus because they also have cell organelles. See, there are many organelles about which you will be learning in your higher grades. So, there are many organelles in eukaryotes, and also there is a structure called as nucleus, and also there is a nuclear membrane. This outer boundary is called the membrane. So, example for eukaryotes is typical plant cell. Okay, plants are all eukaryotes, bacteria and BGA are prokaryotes. And next we will see about the two types of body organization. How is a body? Some organisms will have a single cell in their body. One cell is equal to one organism. Say for example, in the case of euglena, this is euglena, okay, and this is totally made up of only one cell. The one cell is the whole organism. With this one cell itself, it can undergo respiration, it can undergo nutrition, it can take in food, and also it will undergo excretion. All the properties they have like other organisms, but it can all happen with a single cell. Okay. So, the examples for unicellular organisms are euglena, yeast and chlamydomonas. What is this chlamydomonas? It is a algae. What is chlamydomonas? Chlamydomonas is a algae. Okay. So, this is about unicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms, you know. What is multi? Multi means many, uni means one. So, either the organisms, the body can be unicellular organism or multicellular, I told you. So, multicellular organisms have many cells, and many cells together form a tissue. So, these multicellular organisms will have tissues in their body, and also many tissues will form a structure called as organs. You have many organs in your body, right? Eyes, nose, like that. Similarly, plants also have organs like roots, stem, leaves, fruits, all they have. So, organs are all made up of tissues. Tissues are all made up of cells, or many plant cells together join and form a tissue, and many tissues together form a organ. So, examples for multicellular organisms is plants. And then the mode of nutrition. How do organisms eat? So, what are all we studying about? It is all about Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification system. Based on these 3 properties only, he put all the organisms into 5 groups, right? So, it is about 5 kingdom classification system. So, all organisms according to him can be classified into 2 based on nutrition. Either they can prepare their own food, as in the case of plants, or they depend on other organisms as in the case of animals. Okay, so autotrophs means, auto means self. What is auto? Auto is self, which means they will prepare their own food. Plants prepare their own food by a process called as photosynthesis, right? So it is about preparation of food by photosynthesis. So they prepare their own food, and from where they prepare their food from inorganic materials. Inorganic chemistry, all you must have studied, no? Chemistry, organic and inorganic chemistry. So from inorganic chemicals only they can prepare their food. And examples for autotrophs are algae and bacteria. Have you seen algae in some water bodies? You can see green in wells, wall, all you can see some green sponge like structure, no? That is algae. Okay, so these algae are green in color, no? So why? Because they have a pigment called as chlorophyll and they can undergo photosynthesis. Okay, so what are heterotrophs? Heterotrophs, I told you already, whatever cannot prepare their own food, they depend on other organisms for their food, and it is called heterotrophic organisms. Examples for heterotrophs are Protista and fungi, the group protists and fungi. So that is all about for today's class, and in your next class what you will be studying is, you will be studying about the properties of all the 5 groups. I told you, no, we take a classified organisms into 5. What are they? Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia, no? So in the next class you will be studying in detail about the properties of these 5 groups. Okay, so that is all for today's class, and until I meet you in one more class for biology, you all take care and bye bye.